She jerked her thumb backwards at the two blue-haired elves. Like their mother Asiris, my daughters of the water beetle bloodline were as strapping as elves could be with their naturally willowy forms. The two water beetle sisters had no trouble turning over dead monsters 10 times their weight to reach for their real prize, spell hearts. And spell hearts were a prize, especially for a clan as full to bursting with skilled alchemists as ours. My daughters were all heart wielders, still at the first realm of cultivation, but there wasn't a girl among them who didn't have designs on reaching mage acolyte. These spell hearts were valuable as reagents for a wide variety of potions, pills, and other cultivation-enhancing substances. If the spell heart was the right aspect, a heart wielder could even use them to enhance the zeal of their own bonded spell hearts directly. So, naturally, my kids were grabbing everything they could get their hands on.
"We aren't grabbing everything," Silas protested. "The necromancer and her undead collected all the good stuff already, and even she only got what Princess Tavana didn't think was worth the space it would take up in her bag of holding."
"There's no shame in cleaning up the scraps," I said as I worked a little earth magic to speed our raft to the small island. There was enough gravel and mud mixed with the blood and bones that I could carry us with magic faster than Sora could paddle. And if our new allies will let us enrich ourselves off a battle fought mostly by them, I'm certainly not going to protest.
"Father's right," Sora agreed. "What's trash to sorcerers and wizards is still invaluable to us."
Silas snorted.
"You don't need to tell me that. I've gotten more spell hearts today than I did during my entire career as a dungeon diver."
She bent over and grabbed the skeletal remains of a stone hoof unicorn.
"So, for the good of the clan, help me pull this thing out of the way. I think the true mage died somewhere under here."
My girls were all supernaturally strong when they wanted to be. All they had to do was tap their spell hearts and they could lift boulders, sprint for hours, and tear doors off their hinges with a sudden burst of energy. However, they were only heart wielders. So when the stone hoof unicorn skeleton turned out to be bound up in a dense network of connected bones that made up a deceased undead abomination's torso, they started struggling. Had this monster been covered in flesh, it likely would have weighed as much as a building. As it was, the cracked and brittle bones linked by desiccated ligaments still weighed as much as a truck. The girls made a good plan to slowly chop the mass of bones down into a dozen different fragments and pull them out one at a time. That would have worked eventually, but I figured I could lend them a hand. So I grabbed the stone hoof unicorn leg Silas was holding and jerked it upwards. Those dried and dusty ligaments proved quite strong as I hauled on the piece of bone and pulled the entire mass out of the hole. With a rough shove, I rolled the gigantic torso over and pulled it to the edge of the island.
"Thanks, Dad,"
Sora said. Silas whistled.
"What do I have to do to get that strong?"
"Become a mage acolyte," I replied. "And you might also have to pick up the Black Gorge fiend body while you're at it." Silas grimaced.
"I think that would slow down my cultivation. I'll stick to my spell heart until I get stuck. Then I'll think about integrating orc techniques."
I chuckled. "Don't worry. I still plan to be here for you girls whenever you need something heavy moved."
"Everyone, look!"
Amanel shouted as she jumped up and down, clutching a bronze mirror.
"I think I found something the true mage left behind."
I jumped off the pile of bones that made up the undead abomination I'd just rolled over and slid to Amanel's side. She held a sheet of polished copper that should have reflected her features. The mirror was empty, though, and showed only stars overhead. I studied the mirror and through it saw the pile of bones at our feet, but no matter which way I turned my head, I couldn't see myself or any of the elves around me.
"How strange," Sora said. "But it does look magical. Do you recognize it, Father?"
"I'm afraid I'm as clueless as you girls. I recognize that script running up the side as some sort of enchantment, though."
"Which qualifies it as a genuine magic treasure,"
Mac provided, speaking directly into my mind. "Mac says it's a real treasure," I repeated for the sake of the surrounding elves. Mac had speakers he could talk from aboard the Wanderer, but when we were out and about like this, only I could hear him. It earned me some strange looks occasionally.